Welcome back to Hannity. The new Quinnipiac University poll released earlier today. Voters were asked to give the first word that comes to mind when they think of the 2016 presidential candidates. When it came to Hillary Clinton, the word most used to describe the Democratic frontrunner, liar, coming in at number 2, dishonest, followed by number 3, untrustworthy. Well, things are not looking too good for the Clinton campaign. Standing by in Ohio, where Hillary held an event earlier today, is Ed Henry. Is this the event where she actually compared Republicans to terrorists?
She did, Sean, because she's trying to go on offense, clearly trying to change the subject from the email flap that just won't go away. That's reflected, obviously, in the Quinnipiac poll, where voters are still not finding her honest and trustworthy. It's something this campaign is going to have to deal with. Look at this image I shot, a still image of the crowd. There's a lot of open space there, a lot of green here at Case Western Reserve University. She had about 2,500 people. Why is that important? It suggests an enthusiasm gap. I mean, think about it. Bernie Sanders has had events with over 20,000 people, rallies, big events. Donald Trump last week, 29,000 people in Alabama. This is the former Secretary of State, the inevitable Democratic frontrunner many thought who was going to be the likely nominee. She's still leading the horse race in that Quinnipiac poll, but she is struggling because of this email fiasco. And you're right, she did go after Republicans. She named Marco Rubio on abortion. She mentioned Jeb Bush on Planned Parenthood and actually compared some of these GOP candidates to terrorists. Listen.
Extreme views about women, we expect that from some of the terrorist groups. We expect that from people who don't want to live in the modern world. But it's a little hard to take coming from Republicans who want to be the president of the United States.
Now, the Republican National Committee immediately charged that this attack was, quote, a new low for her flailing campaign. She should apologize immediately after her inflammatory rhetoric. That from Allison Moore at the RNC. Clearly, there's no apology from the Clinton camp. She wants to try and go on offense here. She doesn't want to play any more defense over the email issue, something I found out when I tried to get her to talk today about this FBI investigation. Watch this.
Secretary Clinton, have you been contacted by the FBI yet? Are you willing to talk to the FBI?
I need you to have my thank you. Thank you.
Have you been contacted by the FBI yet?
She didn't answer the question. She didn't even make eye contact with me on that rope line. She just did not want to go there. This is why, obviously, the door is now wide open for Vice President Joe Biden to potentially get into this race. In that Quinnipiac poll, he was beating a lot of Republicans head-to-head, doing better than Hillary Clinton, beating Donald Trump by a few points, beating Jeb Bush by a few points. We'll see if his numbers come down if he actually gets in. There's a halo around Joe Biden right now because Hillary Clinton is suffering so much that he is being seen by a lot of Democrats as a potential savior. Sean?
At one of the greatest exchanges. It will go down in history. It will be studied in political science class. Did you wipe your server clean? Do you like me with a cloth? And that was your exchange. So anyway, thanks for being with us.
I appreciate it.
Joining us now with Reaction, Democratic strategist, Fox News contributors Doug Schoen, Julie Roginski is with us. Doug, I'll start with you. Liar,
sure.
Dishonest, untrustworthy. Those are the top 3. Then we've got untruthful, criminal, deceitful, corrupt, crooked, murder, phony, cheat, deceptive, sneaky, arrogant, thief, devious. Now, there were some good words in there, but not many. The top 3, again, liar, dishonest, and untrustworthy. How do you win the presidency if that's the perception? That is the first word that comes to mind, unsolicited by voters.
Sean, the word that I would use is frontrunner. She's leading the Democratic primary over both Joe Biden, who's running third.
Joe Biden's not in. Joe Biden is doing better against Republicans than she is.
Sean, if I could finish.
Yeah.
He is the vice president of the United States, has been for 6-7 years now. The fact that he's running third does not augur well for his candidacy. Clearly, I've made it clear to you and to others that this is a real problem for Hillary Clinton. Calling Republican terrorists is a mistake, changing her story on email a mistake. She still doesn't have a consistent narrative, but what she does have is the lead in the Democratic primary clearly, and she is very competitive with the Republicans. So while I certainly think her candidacy is in crisis, I'm not ready to count her out not by a long shot.
Julie, add to those words, Clinton is not honest and trustworthy. 61% of voters do not think she is honest and trustworthy.
Look, it's clearly a problem for her. I'm not going to pretend it's not a problem for her. You should read what some of the voters said about Jeb Bush, excuse
not
me.
As bad as this.
Oh, really? Read the Donald Trump ones. Well, the worst thing he said about Bush is Bush. That's the biggest insult they could come up with, which is a problem for him. Donald Trump had blowhard, arrogant. None of these people.
So did Hillary.
None of these people are auguring well. It's not like she's operating in a vacuum and the other people have this halo around them.
But she has the worst score ever of anybody on honesty and trustworthiness.
I don't disagree with you. That is a major problem
Here's another
for her.
problem that I think she has. Joe Biden leaked the phone call to Elizabeth Warren.
Sure.
He didn't have to let the world know.
Yep.
Josh Earnest went out of his way. The best political decision that Obama ever made, ever, is crazy Uncle Joe. And of course that shows that he has confidence in his ability to do the top job. It seems Obama is pushing Biden and is taking sides.
I don't think Obama is pushing Biden. In fact, you saw a report
today. Think Josh Earnest went out on his own and said that?
Listen, Joe Biden is going through a horrible point in his life right now. What do you think? Josh Earnest is going to start piling on Joe Biden when Joe Biden barely buried his son?
Josh Earnest, there's a difference between piling on and pushing.
No.
Don't you agree, Doug, that somebody gave a wink and a nod to Josh Earnest to say the greatest political decision he ever made was crazy Uncle Joe?
Well, I would say this. Julie Roginski is a friend of mine, somebody I have enormous respect for. But on this one, Sean, I agree with you 100%.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here. And coming up next tonight here on Hannity.
We have got to do something about gun violence in America. And I will take it on.
Politicizing a tragedy just 2 hours after 2 journalists were shot and killed during a live broadcast. Well, a lot of Democrats, they begin the process. Sheriff David Clark is here tonight to weigh in. And later, there is a lot of internet chatter over what Senator Rand Paul said about the Black Lives Matter movement right here on this program last night. We'll explain and more straight ahead.